A good example of how resorption atelectasis works is this one. Normal, partially collapsing left lung, because they put the tracheal tube in too far, and this is just a placement issue, and that's why they take a chest x-ray of the individual, because they don't know when they're feeding it in how far to go. If they go too far, it's more likely to go into the right lung, our gradual angle, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more likely to go down in the right lung, which means then most of the intubation air is going over here. And so it's going to cut off some of the left lung air. Left lung starts collapsing. So they see that on the chest x-ray, they just pull the tube back a little bit. You pull it back a little bit, the lung reinflates. The lung wants to be inflated. When the obstruction's gone, the lung reinflates. Because it wants to be inflated, because the negative pressure in the pleural space is holding the lung there, and it wants to have it full of air. And it will. So what kind of atelectasis?
Obstructive.
Yeah, obstructive or resorption, exactly. Which is active atelectasis, remember? Resorption is active. Cicatrix is active also, isn't it? Very different way, but cicatrix is active also. The lung's physically doing it. Versus that one, is the lung physically doing this one? Now we have two density changes here. We have two density changes on this one. Then we'll do this one in just a second, but since we're talking about atelectasis, let's just talk about this one. So what are the two density changes on this one?
You have hyperlucency from pneumothorax, and you have water density from
Unilateral, widespread hyperlucency, right lung. But then we also have unilateral localized, lobulated, well-defined localized density, medial right lung base. And it still has a little bit of vasculature in it, isn't it? Notice the mediastinum didn't move. Now, we have a major collapsed lung, but the mediastinum didn't move. Why not? How come the mediastinum didn't move? Mediastinum moved over here. Look where the heart went. Because this is the same individual. Look at where it went. From there to somewhere over here. So here, over to here, and the whole mediastinum's moving. How come it didn't move over here?
Because you have your pressure from the other lung pushing against it.
Because
it's hyperinflated.
the loss of the volume for this is taken up by what's causing the volume loss, by the air in the pleural space. So you have, the lung is here. This is the collapsed right lung. The visceral pleura is here. Remember, in resorption, the two layers of pleura don't lose contact. But in passive, they absolutely can lose contact. If it's air or liquid, they absolutely lose contact. You have to, because you put something in the pleural space, you got to separate the two layers of pleura. And what is collapsing the lung takes up the space where the lung was supposed to be. If the mediastinum moves in passive atelectasis, it will generally go the opposite way. Because if this keeps filling with air, it's eventually going to push this over this way. The only time that it can sometimes go toward is if they have fibrothorax. Pneumo, hydro, and fibro are pleural issues. Pneumo is air, hydro is liquid, fibro is scar. And scar is just pleural scar, it's just shrinking around the lung. That's when sometimes it can mimic the changes of resorption. So this is a pneumothorax. So what? So what? You know, you can have pneumothorax walk in a chiro office. The ones I've seen walked into the chiro office. When they walk in, usually complaining they coughed or sneezed, and now their neck and their shoulder hurts, and they're having difficulty breathing. When they walked in the chiropractor's office. They didn't know, because the sign didn't say, if you have pneumothorax, don't come in here. They thought they had a musculoskeletal complaint. And typically they coughed or sneezed. They popped a bleb, start leaking air in the pleural space, and the lung collapses.
So would that be, technically, if that scenario that you described, would that be spontaneous or
That's exactly what it is. Spontaneous is how it occurs. It can either be static volume or it can increase. If it increases, then it's called tension pneumothorax. And tension pneumothorax can be fatal, kills people. Every day, all over the world, people die from tension pneumothorax because nobody can get to them fast enough. All right, so let's